There is an old story about a young man who wanted to change his life. He wanted to become stronger. He wanted to become wiser. He wanted to build something meaningful. Every night, before sleeping, he imagined a better version of himself. A man who woke up early. A man who kept his promises. A man who worked even when no one was watching. A man who did not abandon his path after the first difficulty. But every morning, when the sun rose, he waited. He waited to feel ready. He waited to feel inspired. He waited for the perfect moment. He waited for life to become easier. And because that moment never came, his days remained the same. He would begin something with excitement, then stop when it became difficult. He would promise himself discipline, then surrender to comfort. He would say, "Tomorrow, I will begin seriously." But tomorrow always became another tomorrow. One day, tired of his own weakness, he went to see an old wise man who lived near the edge of the village. The wise man was known for his calm strength. He spoke little, worked every day, and never seemed rushed. The young man found him carrying stones from one side of his garden to another. "Master," the young man said, "I want to become disciplined, but I lose motivation too quickly." The old man placed a stone on the ground and looked at him. "Then stop depending on motivation," he said. The young man frowned. "But without motivation, how can I begin?" The old man picked up another stone. "Motivation helps you begin," he said. "Discipline helps you continue." The young man was silent. The old man pointed toward the stones. "Come," he said. "Carry one." The young man picked up a stone. It was not very heavy. He smiled. "This is easy," he said. The old man nodded. "Yes, today it is easy." They walked across the garden and placed the stone beside a low wall. Then the old man picked up another stone. The young man did the same. They continued for a while. After some time, the young man's arms became tired. His breathing became heavier. The sun became hotter. The work no longer felt exciting. He looked at the old man and said, "How long must we continue?" The old man answered, "Until the wall is built." The young man looked at the unfinished wall. "But this will take many days." "Yes," said the old man. The young man sighed. "I thought you would teach me something." The old man smiled. "I am teaching you." The young man looked at the stones. The old man said, "A wall is not built by emotion. It is built by repetition." He placed another stone carefully. Most people want the strength of the wall, but they do not want the boredom of carrying stones. The young man lowered his eyes. The old man continued. They want the body, but not the training. They want wisdom, but not the study. They want success, but not the daily effort. They want peace, but not the inner work. The young man said, "But what if I do not feel like doing it?" The old man looked at him calmly. "Then you do it without feeling like it." The words felt simple, almost too simple. But the young man understood that this was the part he had avoided his whole life. Discipline was not a feeling. Discipline was a decision repeated until it became part of who you are. The next morning, the old man asked the young man to return before sunrise. The air was cold. The village was still asleep. The young man almost stayed in bed. He told himself, "It is too early. I can go later." But he remembered the old man's words. So he stood up and walked through the darkness. When he arrived, the old man was already awake. He was lighting a small fire. "You came," the old man said. "I almost did not," the young man admitted. The old man placed wood into the fire. "That is where discipline begins," he said. "Not when it is easy, but when comfort invites you to betray yourself." The young man sat near the fire. The old man said, Look at this flame. The young man watched it rise. If I feed it only when I feel inspired, it will die. But if I feed it every day, even with small pieces of wood, it grows strong. The young man listened. The old man continued. Your life is the same. Your strength is fed by small actions repeated consistently. He pointed toward the morning sky. You do not need to change your whole life in one day. You only need to stop breaking promises to yourself. The young man felt those words deeply, because he had broken many promises, not to others, to himself. The old man said, every time you keep a small promise, you build trust with yourself. Every time you break one, you weaken your own voice. The young man looked at the fire. For the first time, he understood that discipline was not punishment. It was self-respect. In the days that followed, the young man returned to the garden every morning. Some days he felt strong. Some days he felt tired. Some days he wanted to quit. But every day, he carried the stones. He stopped asking whether he was motivated. He stopped waiting for the perfect mood. He simply did what he had promised to do. Slowly, the wall began to rise, not in one dramatic moment, not through excitement, but through quiet repetition, stone by stone, day by day. The young man began to change too. He woke earlier. He spoke less about his dreams. He worked more consistently. He became calmer because he no longer needed emotion to guide him. One evening, he looked at the finished wall. It was simple, but it was real. The old man stood beside him and said, "Now you understand." The young man nodded. Discipline is carrying the stone even when no one praises you. The old man smiled. Yes, and it is also remembering why the wall matters. The young man looked at the wall in silence. He understood that discipline was not about becoming hard. It was about becoming reliable. Reliable to your dreams. Reliable to your future. Reliable to the person you said you wanted to become. And perhaps this is the lesson hidden inside the story. Motivation is a visitor. It comes and goes. But discipline is a home you build for yourself. Do not wait until you feel ready. Do not wait until life becomes easy. Do not wait until the fire inside you becomes loud. Begin with one small promise. Keep it today. Keep it tomorrow. Then keep it again. Because a strong life is not built by one great moment. It is built by small acts of courage, repeated in silence. Stone by stone. Day by day. Until one day you become the kind of person who no longer needs to be pushed, because your word to yourself is enough. If this story gave you something to think about, subscribe to Wisdomary Tales for more stories that make you think.